Do you love pre-cut fabrics? Are you loving this series that I'm doing on pre-cut fabrics, especially these little gems right here? Today I'm going to show you how to create your own pre-cut stash using fabrics that you already have. Those fabrics that you've been holding on to, that you've been waiting, it's their time to shine. We're going to turn them into jelly roll strips today, and I'm going to show you how you can build a big giant stash of pre-cut fabrics just like that. Hey there, I'm Kristen with ICStarsQuilting.com. Welcome to my channel. Thanks so much for stopping by. If you're into modern quilting and you need some tips, tricks, and tutorials to make things easier for you, that's what this channel is about. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss future videos. So that's what we're gonna do today. I have a couple hours this morning that I am just going to work on cutting down my stash because I have this cabinet and I have been just tucking my scraps inside there, and y'all, it's starting to get a little bit out of control. So I am going to work on getting some of those cut into pre-cut sizes. Now, you can go to the store and you can buy your pre-cut fabrics. This is a jelly roll. It's 2.5 inch strips that are pre-cut of lots and lots of fabric all together. This is a charm pack. It's 5 inch squares. Lots of them, again, lots and lots of color, but they're all the same size. And that's what the pre-cuts are, right? They're all the same size fabrics. They're ready for you to just like grab them and go make something. But we're gonna make our own pre-cuts, and we're gonna start with jelly rolls. Now, I'm gonna give you some sizes that I really like to cut my strips into, okay? Now, I normally do not cut these up unless I already have a project in mind for them. I leave them nice and tightly rolled and pretty until it's time to use them. But I'm working on scrap fabrics right now, okay? Now I have a project that I'm gonna show you how to do next week that this is going to come in really, really handy for, okay? The size pieces that I really, really like to work with, little bitty 2.5 inch squares and then 2.5 by 6 inch pieces as well. Those are my favorite sizes to work with. You can also cut them a little bit longer if you want. Basically, what you want to do is you want to be able to create your own pre-cut stash so you can make a gorgeous scrappy quilt with as little effort as possible when it comes time to I want to make something, but I don't know what I want to make, but I just want to make something. This is perfect for that. And your scrap stash is going to go from this to this. So this is my plans for this morning. I am going to cut me some jelly roll strips. I'm gonna get some good music on, and this is a really easy process. I'm gonna show you how you can turn all of your scrap fabrics into pre-cuts. So I've got all my scrap fabrics over here. I have a nice huge stack of them. I have a pile of teeny tiny scraps here that I've already started on that are just gonna have to go because I've cut everything useful out of those. And I have a piece of fabric here that is left over from a project. It's a pretty good chunk, but it wasn't enough for me to put on my shelf or to wrap around one of my boards, which if you need some advice on how to store your fabrics, I'm going to put a link across the top of the video so that you can check that out. And what I'm doing is I'm just trying to figure out how to get this to where I can get the most jelly roll strips out of this piece of fabric as possible. You can tell like this line's not straight. None of the lines are straight. So that's the first step that we're going to do, is we're going to kind of square up this and try and trim off as little fabric as possible around the outside. Now, I have a tip here for this ruler. I found this, I guess it's ruler tape. I don't really know what the actual purpose of this is, but it's a very, very low tack, almost just like a static cling tape that is translucent. You can kind of see my fingers through it right there. And I use it to mark my ruler. That way I don't have to count 1, 2.5 every time I use my ruler. I just put this right along the edge of my fabric, and that's what I use to cut my 2.5 inch strips. But first thing we want to do is we want to square up this edge right here. So I don't need the tape for that. I'm going to roll across there, toss my scraps aside, and then I want to kind of square this up a bit just so I'm getting the most out of this fabric, but I'm not shorting myself or leaving any room for like major errors to happen here. So I'm just cutting off like as tiny bit as possible. And I'm doing that on the two edges because by the time I get to the end over here, I can just count that as like extra. So I'm gonna I have my strip right here across the ruler, and I'm going to put a link to that down in the description box down below that you can find it on Amazon if you are interested in getting some of these. I think I got a yellow one too. I can't find that one to show you, but it came in like a neon orange, a neon pink, and then I think there was a bright yellow as well. But it's been really helpful because, like I said, it doesn't hurt your ruler. You just peel it off when you're done. Okay, so I'm gonna cut 2.5 inch strip here. And then I'm going to set that aside. Now I do have my fabric folded here at the top just to make things a little bit easier. So I'm cutting in smaller chunks, but I am being very careful to make sure that I don't get the fabric out of line or make any wonky cuts. So I'll show you what I have with these two fabrics is kind of line them up. And the pieces that I'm cutting are going to be 6 inches. So I'm cutting four layers deep here. You don't have to do that, but I like to cut it like 4 layers deep if I can. Again, I'm being very, very cautious not to move the ruler around a lot. I have fairly steady hands when I'm cutting, so I'm able to do that. If you don't feel comfortable with that many layers of fabric, you can go down to like 2 layers or even 1 layer of fabric. I'm just trying to save some time here. And I got a 6 inch piece here. I didn't have quite enough to get another 6 inch piece, so I'm gonna use these to cut my 2.5 inch squares. And it is worth noting that if your fabric is really, really wrinkly, you might get some inaccurate cuts, okay? So if you need to, heat your iron up, go ahead and iron it out a little bit before you cut. Now I tend to have a mix, okay? I've got some fabrics in here that are really, really wrinkly, and then some fabrics that are folded nicely and put away. Like this one where it's pretty wrinkly right here, I would probably go through and iron that one before I cut all the strips out of it, just to make sure that nothing gets off. But you definitely want to make sure that you're getting as accurate of cuts as possible, because believe me, if your errors start in the cutting part, they are not going to end there. The errors will just keep continuing, and you'll still have errors, and you'll be wondering why they're not lining up and why your pieces are a little bit off and how come your corners aren't lining up. It all has to do with the cutting. That's the most important part of the piecing process. Okay, the green ones are done. I am going to continue working my way down this ginormous pile of fabric, and I'll see you in just a minute. So pretty easy, right? Straightforward. In no time, you know, just a couple hours, turn on some Netflix, whatever you gotta do to pass some time. In just a couple hours, you can have this gorgeous stack of ready to go pieces, okay? So you're gonna love having these fabrics on hand for when you just need a little something. Now I'm gonna show you a fun project that you can do with them next week, so make sure that you check that out, okay? Also, I have a jelly roll parties planned. Woohoo! Another jelly roll party, okay? Make sure that you sign up and you register for that free event. It's totally free party. All you gotta do is register, okay? Make sure you check out the link in the description box down below. I hope that you had fun with me. I had a really good time today. I feel very productive. I feel like I got a lot done. I'll see you next week. I'm Kristen with ICStarsQuilting.com. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.